Hi everybody, welcome to another low on health game video review where I go over some of the games I've been playing recently. Today I will be talking about Tomb Raider, Guardian of Light, and Fallout New Vegas. So let's just go ahead and get it going with these. I've not really been a fan of the Tomb Raider games. I mean, they're great and all, but they're just not my forte of gaming. I'm not that big of a platformer. I am kind of an action-adventure type of thing. I just didn't really like super puzzles. I don't know. I just never really been a fan of the Tomb Raider series. But the Guardian of Light, which is kind of a DLC of that's been was released this year for like the PC and 360 and all that stuff. I did play it on the PC version. Has been getting good reviews and whatnot. I'm like, I'll give it a try. And I started playing it and whatnot, and I actually found it to be really good. The gameplay is like rock solid for this game. It kind of plays like an old school three-fourths perspective, over the top kind of a shooter, kind of like point and click. But you can use the standard controller, which I did. I had the 360 controller hooked up to the PC. And I just found it was really solid. The cool thing about the game that I like, it has your basic puzzles you have to solve and whatnot, and does a great job with those. It has a lot of challenge rooms and unlocks and lots of replayability. I mean, this game really just has a great design and gameplay element. But what I really liked was how they had her have all of her abilities from the beginning. I mean, all you really need is the gun, the spear, and her dodge roll, her jump, and her explosives. And you have all those straight from the beginning. You don't have to find them. You don't get lost. You don't have to recover them. You don't have to upgrade them. You do get various weapons down the road, which you can pick up and use. But there's a bunch of different types, and they all have the pros and cons. And you don't have to specifically use one type, except maybe the grenade launcher for some of the puzzles. But other than that, you have everything right from the get-go, and I love that. I hate it when you always have to backtrack and find stuff and whatnot. But the game's just really rock solid. I was really kind of pleasantly surprised with it. The presentation is good. The voice acting's good. Not really too much to say about that. The story is kind of there to serve as a story. It's not, awe-inspiring, but it isn't just throwaway, and it's not stupid. It definitely has a decent story, which I liked. But overall, just really enjoyed Tomb Raider the Guardian of Light, and definitely recommend it to any type of Tomb Raider fan or just gamer. It's just a solid game overall. I mean, it's very rare for a game to come out that's just good, and it's just rock solid good. Moving on here, of course, I'm going to talk about Fallout New Vegas. Now, Fallout New Vegas is, of course, it can easily be considered like an expansion to Fallout 3. It uses the same engine, kind of uses the same resources. It just adds, different gameplay elements and some design elements. But it's basically still the core game of Fallout 3, which is good. I enjoyed Fallout 3. A lot of people enjoyed Fallout 3. Now, one thing I will mention right off the top, though, is this game is glitchy as hell. A lot of glitches right off the bat. I will say, the fourth enemy I encountered, like a gecko in the first kind of tutorial thing that I found, was clipping through a rock and stuck in a rock. And I was like, okay, that's interesting. I mean, that's kind of like the game engine. But there's also just other kind of glitches where, things won't happen where they should. Waypoints will be off. Character models will get stuck in this stuff. Items. There's a bunch of glitches. The one cool thing about the glitches is there's a lot of experience glitches and whatnot, and just kind of character or just gameplay glitches. One of them, there are a lot of casinos in the game, and you cash in your chips for caps and whatnot. And there was one glitch at one casino where you cash in your chips, but you get to keep your chips. In which case, they keep just giving you money left and right. In which case, I of course exploited that to death, and of course there was a couple experience ones that I exploited a lot, just so I could just quickly level up and get to max level. You can look at that as you way, yeah, I kind of cheated my way through the game to a point, and of course it's on the 360. And they did release a patch for it, in which case I, did not patch it so I could keep using the exploits and whatnot, and that's just me. That's how I play through the game. I still played the game to death, My first playthrough was around 24 hours, second playthrough was around 8, and then I kind of went back, did all the achievement farming and whatnot. But overall, I probably spent over 60, 80 hours in the game just exploring and walking around, and that's kind of, the fun part of the Fallout universe, is kind of the wackiness and doing that type of stuff. But I will say, the problem with the game is when you think about it, it's still using the Oblivion engine, which is, I think, the 2006 game, which, again, I love Oblivion to death, too. But, it's kind of just sad that they haven't polished the engine up that much. But they were saying the engine lets them do a lot of versatile things, and if they can create that big of a world, then great. I will say they kind of made you think this game was going to play out in Vegas, like the Strip. You'd be doing a lot of city stuff and whatnot, but you're actually playing the majority of the game in the desert, which, has its pros and cons. It was kind of not really misleading, but once you get to the Strip, it's kind of underwhelming. It's basically just broken up into 3 different spots, and it's not really just an all-encompassing big, strip, kind of like, let's say, the main drag in like Grand Theft Auto 4. It's kind of just broken up and it just seems not that great. The combat and gameplay is exactly what you expected for Fallout 3, which is, is good in its own respect and whatnot. It's fun. No real big problems there, but if you had problems with it beforehand, they're all still there. They haven't really polished or done anything with the combat that much. The load screens, I will mention this. The fast travel is great. Luckily, they had fast travel, and I enjoyed using fast travel. But sometimes to get to, like, let's say, Lucky, your main casino thing, your main quest giver into the strip, their closest spawn point is outside it. So you have to spawn there, fast travel there, which is load screen. Get into the gate, which is load screen. Get into the casino, which is load screen. Go up the elevator, which is load screen. And that just got kind of annoying to a certain point.
And that's it.
But I will mention real quick, this is Cast. I love Cast of Death. You basically can get, the new bunch of different companions, and they all have their own little side quests and stuff. But Cass almost made the game to me to a certain point, because she has a basic little quest, and then she has a huge kind of overarching companion quest. And her character, as you talk to her and whatnot, is just really great. I enjoyed following her around and her being part of the game. And the cool thing about the game, too, is it's Karma Faction. Instead of one overarching Karma, you have basically Karma per faction. So some people can like you, and some don't. There is basically kind of 4 different endings, 4 different paths you can take, which is really cool, and you can, of course, do different things. The game just has a bunch of content. A lot of people, and even I will mention, it's overwhelming how much content. You're drowning in content of what you can do and the different ways you can do it in this. One thing I really, really enjoyed about the game was the ending to a point, because before the Fallout 3 ending was kind of just the ending and that's it. What they did with the ending on this one, they did what they did in Fallout 1 and 2, where basically they'll mention each faction, each town you visited, depending on what you did. They had a nice little 2-minute segment of them saying, this is what happened to the town after the end of the game because the courier did this, or the courier did that, or the repercussions of this, the repercussions of that. I love that, and even all the companions have their own little ending part thing, and I enjoyed that a lot because I like seeing what happened after the end of the game. And I did kind of do a shooter character, I did do a brawler character, I did do a hardcore gameplay mode where you have to eat, drink, and sleep, which isn't that big of a deal. But I will say I enjoyed Fallout New Vegas immensely despite the bugs, and that's a credit to the game. A lot of people do mention it. I've talked to a lot of friends who have played it, and there've been a lot of bugs and whatnot, but they still enjoyed playing it. And I do, hope to go back to it and just kind of run around and do stuff. It's fun just exploring and playing the game, and that's really all it comes down to it. I mean, a game's merits is its gameplay. I mean, even with gameplay hiccups and, presentation hiccups, it's still just a solid game, and I recommend it to anybody that enjoyed Fallout 3 and any type of gamer overall. But, other than that, as always, I'd like to thank you guys for watching, and I will catch you next time.